In the quiet town of Maplewood, Ohio, there lived a hard-working man named David Carter. David owned a small repair shop on the corner of Main Street. People in the town respected him because he had built his business with patience, discipline, and years of dedication. But David had one big worry in his life: his son, Jake. Jake was a kind and good-hearted boy, but he was incredibly lazy. Instead of studying, learning new skills, or helping his father at the shop, Jake spent most of his days scrolling on his phone, hanging out with friends, and wasting hours doing nothing productive. David often tried to advise him, but Jake never really listened. One evening after closing the shop, David came home with an idea. He called Jake into the living room and said calmly, "Jake, there's an old watch inside the drawer of my desk. Go bring it to me." Jake walked over, opened the drawer, and brought the watch back. It was an old silver pocket watch that looked worn but elegant. David looked at it for a moment and then said, "Tomorrow morning, take this watch downtown. Show it to people and ask them how much they think it's worth." Jake shrugged and replied, "All right," not really understanding why his father wanted him to do that. The next morning, Jake walked through Maplewood's small downtown area. First, he showed the watch to a man standing outside a coffee shop. The man looked at it for a few seconds and said, maybe around $20. Jake nodded and moved on. Next, he stopped by an antique store. The owner examined the watch carefully and said, "I'd probably pay about $75 for it." Later, another shopkeeper offered $50. Everyone had a different price. Confused, Jake returned home that evening and told his father, "Dad, people gave all kinds of prices. Some said $20, some $50, some $75. Nobody agreed." David simply smiled. "All right," he said, "put the watch back. Tomorrow I want you to do something different." The next day, David handed Jake the watch again and said, "Go back downtown, but this time don't ask the price of the watch." Jake looked puzzled. "Then what should I ask?" David replied, "Ask people how much the time inside the watch is worth." Jake frowned. The question sounded strange, but he decided to try anyway. As he walked around town asking people the question, most of them laughed. One man said, "Kid, that's the strangest question I've heard all week." Another person waved him away. Jake began to feel embarrassed. Finally, he stopped at a small watch repair shop owned by an elderly man named Mr. Thompson. Mr. Thompson had been repairing watches in Maplewood for more than 40 years. Jake asked the same question again. "Sir, how much is the time inside this watch worth?" Mr. Thompson paused his work, looked up at Jake, and smiled gently. He understood exactly what the boy meant. He said softly, "Son, time has no price." Jake listened carefully. Mr. Thompson continued, "You can spend thousands of dollars on watches, clocks, and gadgets, but you cannot buy back even 1 second of your life." Jake stood there quietly. The old man leaned back in his chair and said, "Everyone on Earth gets the same 24 hours each day. Billionaires get 24 hours. Students get 24 hours. Workers get 24 hours. The difference between successful people and everyone else is simple. It's how they use their time." For the first time, the message truly reached Jake. He thanked Mr. Thompson and hurried back home. That evening, he told his father everything that had happened. David listened patiently and then placed his hand on Jake's shoulder. "That," he said gently, "is the real value of time." From that day forward, Jake changed. He started waking up earlier. He helped his father at the repair shop. He spent time learning new skills instead of wasting hours doing nothing. Slowly but surely, Jake began building a better future for himself. Years later, the small repair shop in Maplewood grew into one of the most trusted businesses in the town, and Jake proudly ran it alongside his father, because he had finally learned a lesson that many people realized too late. Time is free, but it is priceless. You cannot save it, you cannot buy it, but you can choose how to use it. And once a moment is gone, it never comes back. So remember this: use your time wisely, because the future you dream about is built from the hours you choose to spend today.